What if I told you that your golden years could truly be golden, simply by decluttering your life? And I'm not talking about old furniture in the attic. I'm talking about the mental baggage we've been carrying around for decades. Today, we won't be discussing what to add to your life to find happiness in your later years. Instead, we'll talk about what to ruthlessly remove, making space for peace and joy. And ancient Stoic wisdom will be our guide. Stay with us, and you'll discover how 10 simple no's can bring you more harmony than 1,000 yeses. First, let's clarify one thing. Stoicism isn't about having a poker face or suppressing your emotions. Quite the opposite, in fact. It's an ancient philosophy that teaches us to find inner strength and serenity amidst life's storms. Stoics like Seneca and Marcus Aurelius believe the key to happiness lies in focusing on what we can control, our thoughts and reactions, and accepting what we cannot. And it's precisely this principle that makes their philosophy an ideal guide for navigating our later years. All right, let's kick off our major mental decluttering. And the first thing we're mercilessly tossing into the bin of oblivion is past regrets. You know that feeling, don't you? That mental loop, that endless internal monologue of, oh, if only I'd done things differently back then. If only I'd picked another job. If only I'd said those exact words. It's like dragging a massive sack of rocks behind you. Each rock, a mistake, a missed opportunity, a wrong decision. And this bag isn't just heavy. It holds you back. It saps the joy from your present. Ancient Stoics would view this with a wise bemusement. They'd ask, why expend your precious energy on something you cannot change? The past is the only thing absolutely beyond our control. Trying to replay it in your mind is like shouting at yesterday's rain, pointless and exhausting. So instead of, what if? Ask yourself this. What can I do now? Equipped with this experience, transform your regrets into lessons. Every misstep was a fee paid for the wisdom you carry today. Close the door to the past. It's nothing more than a ghost, and it holds no power over you unless you choose to give it some. So we've dealt with the baggage of the past, but it has a cunning twin brother pulling us in a different direction. The worry about what's to come. It's that endless what if loop playing in our heads. What if I get sick? What if I run out of money? What if my kids face problems? Each of these thoughts is a tiny nail you hammer into your present peace of mind. You're living through hundreds of imagined tragedies that in all likelihood will never actually materialize. The Stoics regarded this as a prime example of voluntary madness. Why suffer today for something that may never happen? As Seneca wisely put it, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Worry is like paying interest on problems you haven't even encountered yet. But don't mistake this for recklessness. The Stoics drew a clear distinction between destructive anxiety and constructive planning. Anxiety paralyzes, planning empowers. Instead of agonizing over your health, schedule a checkup. Instead of panicking about your finances, create a simple budget. Focus on what you can do today to prepare for tomorrow. And the rest, let it go. It's out of your hands. The next heavy burden it's time to shed is the endless pursuit of external validation. For much of our lives, many of us live as if on a stage. We carefully choose our words, our clothes, and our actions, constantly glancing at an invisible audience, wondering, what will they think? How will this look to others? This craving for likes, praise, and approval turns our lives into a prison, with the opinions of others acting as our wardens. But here's a powerful truth that often comes with age. You have every right to step off that stage. The Stoics taught that your worth is not determined by the applause of the crowd, but by your own virtues and actions. Someone else's opinion of you is their thought, their perception. It's outside of your control, and therefore it shouldn't concern you. Think about it. You've lived long enough to understand that it's impossible to please everyone. Someone will always find fault. So isn't it time to start pleasing the one person who truly matters, yourself? Maturity grants you the luxury of being truly authentic, without masks or pretense. This is true freedom. Let's talk about a war many of us fight every day. A quiet, relentless battle against our own reflection in the mirror. Every new wrinkle feels like a defeat, a stray grey hair, a betrayal, a sudden twinge in your back, a stark reminder that your greatest ally, your own body, seems to be turning against you. We grow resentful, we get angry, we desperately try to fight the inevitable, time itself. But this is a war we're destined to lose. The Stoics, however, offer a different path. Not surrender, but a wise and honourable peace. Your body isn't your adversary. It's your steadfast, though perhaps a little worn companion. It has carried you through decades of joy and sorrow, triumphs and trials. It took you to work, held your children close, allowed you to witness countless sunrises and embrace those you love. Instead of fixating on its perceived flaws, try shifting your focus to gratitude. Thank your legs for the thousands of miles they've walked, your hands for everything they've built and nurtured. Your body is a living chronicle of your journey. Instead of waging war against it, begin to care for it as you would your most cherished friend. That is acceptance. That is true wisdom. Next up on our decluttering list, the habit of judging. It's so easy to play judge in other people's lives, isn't it? Look how she's dressed. Did you hear what his son did? Why do they raise their kids like that? Judgment and gossip are like mental fast food. They offer a short-lived, illusory sense of superiority, but in the long run, they only poison your own mind. Every minute you spend dissecting someone else's life is a minute stolen from your own. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself, don't waste what's left of your life dwelling on others. By involving yourself in their business, you rob yourself of the time to attend to your own. This is incredibly practical advice. You have a finite amount of time and energy, so why dissipate them on things that are none of your business and completely out of your control? Instead of looking around and passing verdicts, turn that spotlight of attention inwards. Focus on your own life, work on your flaws, cultivate your strengths, pursue your passions. When you're truly engrossed in cultivating your own garden, you simply won't have time to peer over the fence at your neighbour and count the weeds on their lawn. Let's turn our attention now to things, to the physical world that surrounds us, and to our habit of clinging to material possessions. As the years go by, many of us find our homes slowly transforming into personal museums of the past. Closets overflow with clothes we haven't touched in a decade. Sideboards groan under the weight of dinner sets no one ever uses. Balconies and garages become overflowing storage units for just-in-case items. We believe we own our possessions, but often the reverse is true. They own us. They demand our time, our attention, our energy, and our precious space. The Stoics, on the other hand, approach material possessions with remarkable detachment. They famously called them preferred indifference. What does that truly mean? Simply put, it's pleasant to have them, but their absence shouldn't cause distress. Your happiness and peace of mind should never hinge on the number of porcelain figurines gracing your shelf. Try to look at your possessions with fresh eyes. Ask yourself a critical question. Does this item truly serve me, or am I serving it? By letting go of the superfluous, you're not just freeing up physical space in your home, you're liberating mental space. Simplifying your surroundings leads directly to clarity of mind. Keep only what is genuinely useful, brings you joy, or holds deep sentimental value. Everything else is simply clutter, a silent weight that prevents you from truly breathing freely. This seventh point on our list might just be the most difficult for many, learning to release complete control over your adult children. This is one of life's most painful transitions. For decades, you were the captain of their ship. You charted their course, patched up leaks, and protected them from every storm. Now, they're at the helm themselves, and it often feels like they're steering straight onto the reefs. That urge to intervene, to offer advice, to shield them from making mistakes, it's completely natural, but all too often it becomes smothering. The Stoics would remind us that your children's lives are simply not within your control. Their decisions, their mistakes, their triumphs, these are all part of their unique journey. Your role has shifted. You are no longer the captain. Now you are the wise lighthouse keeper. You can shine your light, warn of impending dangers, and point the way to a safe harbour. But you cannot and should not force their ship to change its course. Overprotectiveness, unsolicited advice, and constant worry are not true expressions of love. They are, in fact, manifestations of your own anxiety. Genuine love at this stage is about trust. Trust that you have instilled enough wisdom in them to navigate life's challenges independently. Let go of the helm, and trust me, the view from the lighthouse can be just as breathtaking. Now let's talk about the deepest, darkest fear, the one that lurks within many of our minds, the fear of the inevitable. We avoid conversations about death. We pretend it's something that will happen to someone else, never us. We fear it as a final period, rendering everything that came before it meaningless. This fear poisons the present, making us cling to fleeting time in quiet panic. But the Stoics looked at this entirely differently. For them, death was not an enemy, but the greatest teacher. They practiced memento mori. Remember you must die, not to fall into despair, but quite the opposite, to truly begin to live. The realization that your time is finite is the most powerful impetus not to put off living. This day, this conversation, this cup of coffee, this ray of sunshine, they are unique and will never come again. When you truly embrace your mortality, you stop wasting time on trivialities, on grudges, on pointless busy work, on worry. You begin to value what truly matters. Death is not a period, but rather a frame that gives the picture of life its completeness and value. By embracing its inevitability, you stop fearing and truly begin to live, here and now, to the fullest. The ninth piece of ballast we'll be shedding from our hot air balloon is rigid expectations. We often operate with a predetermined script in our minds, a script detailing how the perfect retirement should unfold, how our children should behave, what our friends should do, and even what the weather should be like on our vacation. And every time reality deviates from this script, we're met with disappointment, resentment, or anger. It's like getting angry at a river for not flowing in the direction we want it to. The Stoics called this waging war against reality, and in that war, you will always be the loser. Their core principle was amor fati, or the love of one's fate. This isn't passive resignation. It's an active and joyful acceptance of everything that happens, both the good and the bad. Instead of rigid expectations, cultivate mental flexibility. Picture yourself not as a rock that cracks under the relentless assault of waves, but as a willow that bends with the wind and never breaks. If your grandchild doesn't call when they promised, don't immediately take offence. Perhaps something unexpected came up for them. If rain ruins your plans for a walk, perhaps it's the perfect excuse to stay home with a good book instead. By letting go of your expectations, you also release disappointments. You allow life to simply be. And often, life presents far more compelling stories than anything we could have scripted ourselves. Number 10 on our list might sound a little blunt, but it's crucial. Stop complaining all the time, especially about minor aches and pains or everyday inconveniences, like, "Oh, my back is killing me again. This weather is awful. Prices have gone up yet again." We often use complaints to make conversation or to get a little sympathy. But in reality, every single complaint is a small dose of poison we pour into our own day. When you complain, you focus on the negative. You keep replaying what bothers you, strengthening that feeling. It's like constantly scratching a small mosquito bite until it turns into a huge, infected wound. You become a hostage to your own constant negativity. The Stoics taught that a wise person doesn't waste words on what is unproductive. If you can change something, act on it. If you can't, accept it. Back pain is a signal to do some exercises or see a doctor, not a topic for an hour-long monologue. Complaining doesn't solve problems. It only saps your energy that could be used to fix things or simply to enjoy the good that's present in your life right now. Focus on what you're grateful for, and you'll be amazed how little room there is left for complaints. The 11th enemy of your peace of mind: old grudges. We carry them around for years like treasured possessions in a keepsake box. And this box can be incredibly heavy and cumbersome. Inside, you'll find hurtful words, a relative uttered a decade ago, an unfair act by a colleague that everyone else has long forgotten, the sting of a friend's betrayal from your distant youth. We periodically open it, rummage through these treasures, reliving the pain all over again. We delude ourselves into believing that by doing so, we're somehow punishing the person who wronged us. But that's just an illusion. Seneca once perfectly captured this sentiment, saying, "Harbouring resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. The person who wronged you has most likely moved on with their life, perhaps even forgotten the incident entirely. Yet, you continue to poison yourself with that venom, day after day. Forgiveness isn't a gift you give to your tormentor. It's a gift you give to yourself. It's an act of profound liberation. You're not condoning the act or saying it was right. You're simply choosing to stop carrying that heavy burden. You're deciding to empty out that dusty box, to shake free of its contents, and to open your hands and heart for something new, for serenity, for joy, for the present moment. The 12th thing to let go of is the fear of loneliness. For many, this word sounds like a dreaded verdict. We fear being alone so much that we cling to toxic relationships, tolerate disrespect, and fill our time with meaningless distractions, anything to avoid the silence. We often feel that being alone means being unwanted, but this is a fundamental misconception. The Stoics taught us to differentiate between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is a feeling of emptiness experienced when you are apart from others. Solitude, however, is a feeling of fullness, experienced when you are truly present with yourself. A person who is at peace with their inner world is never truly alone. They find joy in their own thoughts and comfort in silence. In later life, you gain a unique opportunity to transform loneliness into blessed solitude. It's a time when you can finally get to know the most important person in your life, yourself, free from the noise of others' opinions and expectations. Find joy in simple pleasures, reading, hobbies, or contemplating nature. Once you become your own best friend, you'll discover that the company of others becomes a delightful bonus rather than a desperate necessity. The 13th thing we're permanently removing from our lives is the toxic habit of comparing ourselves to others. In today's digital age, it's become an absolute epidemic. We scroll through social media and are met with a parade of others' successes. There's an old classmate travelling to exotic destinations. There's a neighbour showing off the harvest from their perfect garden, and acquaintances are doting on adorable grandchildren. Before we know it, we start measuring our own lives by someone else's yardstick. Our own reality starts to feel dull and uninspired compared to their glossy, curated images. The Stoics would say, this is a sure path to misery. Comparing your unique journey to someone else's is like comparing an apple tree to an oak tree. Both trees are valuable and beautiful in their own right. They grow at different paces, bear different fruits, and serve different purposes. Your life isn't a race. You have your own unique set of joys, challenges, lessons, and achievements. Instead of looking sideways, look at who you were yesterday. Are you a little wiser today? Did you learn something new? Did you give thanks for what you have? The only person worth comparing yourself to is who you were in the past. Focus on your own growth, and you'll find you have no time left for envy. The 14th reaction to purge from your arsenal is automatic, uncontrolled anger. Someone cuts you off on the road, a salesperson is rude, the news on TV sparks outrage, and then, boom! Your heart pounds, blood rushes to your face, and you're ready to explode. Anger often feels like a natural, even justified, response to injustice. But the Stoics emphatically disagreed. Seneca famously called anger a brief madness. In this state, we're incapable of rational thought. We utter words we later regret. We take actions that damage relationships. Anger doesn't solve problems. It merely exacerbates them, piling your own suffering on top. The key to managing anger is the pause. Stoics advise taking a moment before reacting. Count to 10. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself, is this event truly worth my peace of mind? In most cases, the answer will be a resounding no. This micro pause is your shield. It gives reason time to assert itself over emotion. You're not suppressing anger, you're simply choosing not to let it control you. This is a sign not of weakness, but of immense inner strength. The 15th burden we'll cast off is that constant, meaningless hustle, the urge to fill every minute with activity simply to appear productive. For many of us, productivity has become synonymous with happiness. If our calendar isn't packed minute by minute, we feel lazy and useless. We rush from one task to the next, constantly checking our phones, scanning the news, anything to avoid silence, to avoid being alone with our thoughts. We dread stillness, as if some terrible emptiness lies in wait. The Stoics, however, valued leisure, not as idleness, but as schole, dedicated time for reflection, self-discovery, and unhurried contemplation. They understood that it's precisely in moments of quiet and stillness that our most important thoughts and insights emerge. Constant busyness is merely noise that drowns out the voice of your own soul. Stop seeing unplanned time as wasted time. Allow yourself to simply sit on a park bench and observe people. Allow yourself to drink tea without being distracted by the television. Allow yourself to just be, doing nothing at all. You'll be surprised how rich and fulfilling these moments of doing nothing can be. This isn't laziness, it's a reset. It's a luxury you've earned. The 16th step towards freedom is letting go of your past professional identity. For many of us, work wasn't just a way to earn a living. It was a huge part of who we were. I am a doctor. I am an engineer. I am a teacher. These roles gave us status, purpose, and a strong sense of self-worth. So when retirement comes, leaving work can feel like losing a piece of ourselves. The question inevitably arises, who am I now? This void can be quite frightening, but the Stoics remind us that our true essence is far deeper and broader than any social role. Your job title was merely one of the many hats you wore. Yet, underneath it all, you were always you, a person with unique values, passions, wisdom, and experience. Look at retirement not as an end, but as an incredible opportunity. An opportunity to finally try on those other hats you've set aside for decades. The hat of a gardener, an artist, a volunteer, a traveller, or a loving grandparent with all the time in the world. Your worth hasn't diminished with your last day of work. On the contrary, now you have the freedom to explore facets of your identity that you simply didn't have time for before. You are not your former job. You are an entire universe waiting to be discovered. Number 17 on our list of things to eliminate is the excessive, unfiltered consumption of negative news. The modern world bombards us with information 24/7. Turn on the television or open a browser and we're immediately plunged into a stream of disasters, conflicts, crises, and tragedies from around the globe. We often feel that staying informed about everything is the duty of a responsible citizen, but all too often, this transforms into a form of mental self-harm. Constantly consuming negativity creates a distorted view of the world. You begin to feel that everything around you is bad, dangerous, and hopeless. This leads to chronic anxiety, a sense of powerlessness, and cynicism. You worry about events you can't possibly influence, expending an enormous amount of emotional energy in the process. The Stoics advise focusing on your circle of control. News about global problems lies far outside that circle. This doesn't mean you should become an ignorant recluse. It means consciously rationing your information intake. Dedicate 15 to 20 minutes a day to reading a news summary, and then commit the rest of your time to your actual life. Water your plants, connect with loved ones, read books, create your own small island of order and calm in this chaotic world. Your peace of mind is far more important than knowing every detail of yet another tragedy on the other side of the planet. The 18th thing to let go of is unnecessary complexity. It's time for a great simplification. Over the years, our lives become encrusted with complexities. Much like a ship accumulates barnacles, complicated daily routines, tangled relationships, cumbersome financial plans, hundreds of unnecessary subscriptions and commitments. We construct these labyrinths for ourselves, only to then complain that we're lost within them. This complexity drains our time, energy, and mental clarity, The Stoics championed simplicity in all things. They believed that a virtuous life was a simple life, and this principle can be applied universally. Look at your daily life. Can it be simplified? Perhaps it's time to get rid of half your possessions and stop spending your weekends cleaning. Consider your relationships. Perhaps it's time to distance yourself from those who only bring negativity. Examine your habits. Perhaps it's time to let go of intricate routines and find joy in simple things. Simplification is not primitivism. It's the art of cutting away the superfluous to focus on what truly matters. When you strip away everything unnecessary and superficial from your life, you suddenly begin to see the essence of things. Simplicity brings peace. Simplicity brings clarity. Simplicity is the highest form of elegance, including the elegance of life itself. Our 19th point might come as a bit of a surprise. Let's talk about letting go of perfectionism when it comes to aging. We live in a culture obsessed with ideal images. We're bombarded with ads featuring sprightly, perpetually smiling seniors who travel the world, practice yoga at dawn, and look 20 years younger. This constant exposure can lead us to set impossibly high standards for ourselves. I have to be that active. Nothing should hurt. My retirement must be absolutely perfect. This kind of perfectionism is a direct path to disappointment and guilt, because reality is far more complex and nuanced than any commercial. There are days when your joints ache. There are moments of sadness and apathy. There can be financial struggles. Trying to live up to the non-existent ideal of a perfect old age is a surefire way to set yourself up for constant stress. The Stoics taught us to accept reality as it is, with all its imperfections. Your life in your later years doesn't have to be perfect to be good. Allow yourself to be imperfect. Allow yourself to get tired. Allow yourself to sometimes feel sad. Let go of the chase for that glossy image and start appreciating your real, vibrant, sometimes challenging, yet unique and precious life. That's where true wisdom and happiness lie. And finally, number 20, the most insidious and destructive habit you must banish from your life permanently. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. Self-pity is a warm, comforting, yet incredibly dangerous quicksand. It pulls you in with thoughts like, "Oh, my health is just terrible," or "Why does everyone else have it so good, but I don't?" or "Life just isn't fair to me." When we indulge these thoughts, we willingly shackle ourselves to victimhood. And a victim, by definition, is powerless to change anything. Their only option is to suffer. Self-pity paralyzes your will. It saps the energy you could be using to solve problems. It also pushes people away, because no one wants to spend much time around a source of perpetual gloom. It is arguably the most useless and destructive of all emotions. The Stoics taught that we always choose our reaction to events. You can't control illnesses, personal losses, or economic crises. That much is true. But you have absolute control over how you respond to them. You can opt for the role of a passive victim, or you can embody a resilient warrior who accepts the challenge and does everything possible within the given circumstances. Every time you catch yourself thinking, "Poor me," stop and ask yourself, "All right, this has happened. What can I do now?" Shift your focus from self-pity to action, even the smallest step. This is the core lesson of Stoicism. Our lives are not defined by our circumstances, but by our reaction to them. And here's the crucial insight. What's truly remarkable about Stoic philosophy, especially as we age, isn't what it tells us to do, but rather what it encourages us to release. Our entire lives, we're conditioned to accumulate more money, more achievements, more possessions. But true wisdom, it turns out, lies in the opposite, in the art of subtraction, of paring down. Imagine a sculptor. They don't add clay. They chip away the excess stone to reveal a masterpiece. It's precisely the same with our lives. By removing regrets, fears, resentments, and the constant hustle and bustle, you don't become empty. Instead, you finally allow your true self to emerge, calm, wise, and free. This is the greatest gift you can give yourself in your mature years. It's not an ending, it's a profound liberation. So, by letting go of mental clutter, we don't truly lose anything. Instead, we gain. We gain the present moment, we gain inner peace, and most importantly, we gain our true selves. Thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. If these ideas resonated with you, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new videos on wisdom for everyday life. What in your own life would you like to let go of right now? And which of these ideas felt the most challenging, or conversely, the most liberating to you? Let me know in the comments below. Let's discuss.